So why is processed food so problematic? Like a lot of people hear that it's very common knowledge, and yet I don't think we really take it to heart. We don't, and maybe it's because we don't really understand, well, why is it such a problem?
Yeah, so it's a problem for two different things. So actually the processed foods are toxic because they have high levels of added salt, oil, and sugar. And we now know those three substances do damage to our blood vessels. And you can imagine the brain being a very vascular organ. If you do damage to your blood vessels, there's going to be damage within the brain and to the blood vessels, say the carotids, leading blood from the heart to the brain. So again, the first problem with processed foods are the added salts, oils, and sugars that are causing the blood vessel damage. So that's number one. But number two, the other issue is if you're spending most of your time eating the the fast food, the processed foods, you are losing what's called an opportunity cost to eat real nutrition, real antioxidants, and fiber. It turns out that having fiber in the diet is key from fruits, vegetables, grains, is key for a healthy gut bacteria, the microbiome, and in turn for a healthy brain. So it's not just that the processed foods are toxic, but if you spend most of your time eating that, that's going to crowd out real nutrition that we were designed to eat to help our brains.
So how, like, I can kind of hear some people maybe thinking to themselves, how much do I have to stick to, say, the good diet? Is it like you hear some people say it's all or nothing. Some people say, well, 80/20 is okay if you eat the healthy foods 80% of the time for the sake of keeping you on the program, because if you try to be perfect, you're probably going to fall off the wagon. So where do you kind of fall on just how much do people need to adhere to what I'm going to call a colorful, ideally organic, real food diet?
Yeah, so that's a hard question to answer because I mean, I know my own history. This was a dozen years ago. It took me many years to transform to eating fast food, junk food,
Yeah,
to mainly eating whole plants and avoiding added salt, oil, and sugar. I'm not perfect, and I don't expect anyone else to be, but it's really hard to put a number. But if I've got someone with brain problems, with dementia, I'm going to encourage them to do as much as possible. But
right.
I understand we live in a society where what I'm talking about is not mainstream, and one of the things that we're designed to do is to socialize, have a community. And the reality is, if you go to a community event and they're serving all these processed foods that are not good for us, if you say thanks but no thanks, I mean, I guess you can
It's
say
hard. It's hard.
it's difficult,
Yeah.
and you can say, "Oh, this is what my doctor recommended." So I always tell people, "Sure, blame it on me.
Yeah.
I'm okay with that." But it is hard, and what I would encourage people to do is find their own community. But exactly right, it is difficult. So I wouldn't tell people they have to be 100%, but what I would say is that your body is always watching. Even on your birthday, if you're eating garbage, yeah, that is going to have effect on your cells, unfortunately. Now, what one day out of the year, no, I think the cool thing is your body will be able to recover. But I don't know about you, but I find that if I cheat and eat highly
Oh,
processed foods, I don't feel good afterwards. So, it might be 5 minutes of pleasure and then like I don't feel good for many hours. So,
yeah.
we learn, our body learns, and our body gives us feedback. Definitely listen to it.